Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Night Ghost Stories Extra, because we are on a Wednesday. Oh, my goodness me. It's the middle of the working week, what we call the hump. And I certainly look forward to giving you all the hump tonight. Where we are in the library, as you can see, we've got the fire on tonight because it's a bit chilly. We've had adventures today. It's been brilliant. Yeah, absolutely fabulous. What are we reading? We are still reading Haunted Places of Scotland, which is absolutely brilliant. We're going to use that word quite a lot tonight, actually, but absolutely brilliant. I'm just having a look to see where we got up to last time. I think we might read that one again, actually. What are we drinking tonight? We are drinking from the Beer 52 subscription. We've got Hopodrome, another fabulous beer in a beautiful packaging. English Pale Ale describes itself as a refreshing English Pale Ale exclusively brewed with British New Wave hops from Charles Fareham, Harlequin, Olicana, and Jester. Deliver vibrant stone fruit, citrus peel, and delicious floral notes atop a smooth blend of pale ale and wheat malts, creating a crisp, balanced, and eminently drinkable beer with a refined, bitter finish. Ingredients: water, malted barley, hops, yeast. Allergens include gluten, shown in bold. 4%. It says store cold, drink fresh. And who's it made by? Charles Fareham is the brewery. There they are, Charles Fareham. But yeah, give this a go. So we are just topping up the glass here. We haven't even started the show, and already we have a dead soldier and Run VT.
Oh, it's jolly nice of you. Hello, dead soldier. Seen plenty of those in my time.
And we're washing it down tonight with the Western Gold honey Scotch whiskey. Call it what you will. It's from Lidl and it's American, but it's not bad, actually. Who's given us a like here at the moment? It's viewer Laura. Thank you, viewer Laura. God bless you. Right, here we go. Grangemere House. I think we'll reread this one from last time. Grangemere House. There was a castle or old house at Grangemere, which was owned by the Scots in the 16th century. Ely was made a burgh of barony for William Scott of Grangemere in 1598 to 99. The present house dates from about 1807, but stands on the site of a much older building, which was occupied by the Bruce family, who held the lands in the 18th century. The property later passed to the Douglases, but it was sold in 1931, and the house is now ruinous after being used as an old person's home and stands in a caravan park. Grangemere was reputedly haunted by the ghost of a pretty girl called Buff Barefoot, named so because she wore no footwear. When she was a baby, she had been found abandoned with nothing except a bag of gold, but she grew into a very attractive lass. Buff had at least two admirers, one a son of the family who owned Grangemere, but her affections appear to have become a bone of contention. The poor girl ended up murdered, although the exact circumstances are not certain, there being more than one version of the story. Her killer was captured while her other suitor committed suicide. There were then reputedly many manifestations at Grangemere, not least the sound of heavy footfalls in the building, made by unseen bare feet. Her apparition was also observed. The disturbances were apparently so frightening that they caused the old house to be abandoned. and the new building was put in its place. The builders were careful enough, however, not to reuse any of the materials from the previous dwelling, just in case Herb Bogle managed to re-establish itself in the new house along with the old materials. There are some accounts, however, that still have the sound of her bare feet being heard in the vicinity of Grange Muir. Just says Chalet's telephone number. Right, let's try this. What's it called again? It's called Hopodrome English Pale Ale, 4%. So, as always, big shout out to viewers Kirsten and Steve in the United States. We'll be supping it in the magnificent Rush beer glass. So, cheers, me beers. Smells quite sweet. So, that is very quaffable. That. Oh my goodness me! Yeah, I could drink that like orange squash. That's very smooth. Right. Okay, here we go. Green No Tower. Built on a small hill in a fine position with an avenue of old trees, Green No Tower is an L-plan tower house rising to 4 stories and with turrets at 3 of the corners. The tower is dated 1581 and still has its iron yet gate. Oh, sorry, read that again. That's a terrible reading. Oh, try it again. The tower is dated 1581 and still has its iron yet gate. That's yet, Y-E-T-T or Y-E-T-T. Green No passed by marriage from the Gordons to the Seatons of Touch, who built the tower. It was acquired by the Pringles of Stitchell in the 17th century, one of whom, Walter Pringle, was a noted writer and covenator. It later passed to the Dalrymples, who occupied it until the middle of the 19th century, although it is now ruinous. There are reports that the tower is haunted. I should hope it is, because this is a book about haunted places of Scotland, and just to have a paragraph giving that and then to go, but there is no ghost. Anyway, Historic Scotland, access at all reasonable times, website address. Just going to go back here. What caught my eye in that story? Oh, the Pringles of Stitchell, as opposed to the Pringles of Isle 3. But right, Greenlaw. No, I got the beer nose tonight. Cheers, me beers. I think we'll turn the page, which I think is a Rush song from Hold Your Fire, 1987, 39 years ago. Anyway, great album. Greenlaw. Greenlaw is an imposing classical mansion dating from 1741, which is almost a quarter to 6, just gone 20 to 6, which rises to 3 stories. The entrance is reached by a wide, imposing staircase, but the mansion is an empty shell after being gutted by a fire in the 1970s. The lands were a property of the Gordons. The mansion is said to have been haunted by the ghost of an old woman clad in grey. No, there's no information after that. Oh, lovely. Slange. Greenlaw House, Glencorse. Greenlaw House, which incorporated a 17th century laird's house, was remodelled from 1804 into a large barracks and prison that could hold up to 6,000 prisoners from the Napoleonic Wars. The building served as the military prison for Scotland from 1845 to 1888. In 1875, Greenlaw was extended to become the army depot for South East Scotland, but the house was completely demolished and the site occupied by later buildings. The ghost of a young woman said to be Morag McIntosh is reported to have been seen at a spot called Lover's Loop or Leap at a gorge above the River Esk. The story goes that she had been cavorting with one of the French prisoners imprisoned at Greenlaw. Her father had her imprisoned, and while incarcerated, her French lover was murdered, died, or moved elsewhere. When the girl was released, she found her lover gone. When the girl was released, she found her lover gone, and then threw herself into the river at Lover's Loop. Leap. That's Loop, L-O-U-P. Her ghost is also said to have been seen in the Frith Wood, running dishevelled through the trees towards the spot from which she leapt, or just standing, weeping. No, there's no after information on that one. What a sad story. It's a ghost story, but I mean, they're not all going to be happy ones, are they? So anyway, cheers, me beers. I think we will now have a bit of the Western Gold. Oops, a daisy. Cheers. Oh. That is really, really nice stuff. I think we might invest in another bottle of this at some stage. Right. Greenhornish House. Set in 10 acres of gardens and wooded grounds in a tranquil spot, the fine old house dates from the middle of the 18th century, although it was extended about 100 years later and is now a comfortable residence and hotel. The lands were held by the MacLeods, and it was Kenneth MacLeod, a wealthy fellow, who did much to improve the house in the 1840s. The house is reputed to have a haunted room and a ghost. Really? You surprise me. In a book called Haunted Places of Scotland, Greenhornish House apparently has a ghost. Hotel, telephone number, website. So, right. Well, this is quite quite an epic story, this next one. I think we'll have a beer. What are we up to? 12 minutes, 14 minutes. So, Slange. Oh. Greyfriars Kirkyard, Edinburgh. Built in the garden of the dissolved Franciscan friary, hence the name Greyfriars, this was the first post-Reformation church built in Edinburgh and was completed in 1620, which is kind of just gone about 4 o'clock, although altered in the following centuries. The National Covenant was signed here in 1638, a bill asserting the rights of the people over the king to decide on their own form of worship. The historic kirkyard has a variety of interesting gravestones and monuments, including the open area known as the Covenanters' Prison to the south of the kirkyard, where prisoners held after the Battle of Bothwell Brig were imprisoned in 1679 after the Covenanters had been defeated by government forces. Dark deeds were undoubtedly done by both sides during this troubled period, but the unbridled slaughter in the kirkyard, purported by many authorities to have happened here, is grossly exaggerated. The kirkyard is reputedly the setting for various supernatural manifestations attributed to either the souls of prisoners who died here or to the bogle of Sir George Mackenzie of Rosehow. He was an eminent judge who dealt, harshly, according to his enemies, who gave him the name Bloody Mackenzie, with Covenanters, and who died in 1691. His tomb is one of those in the prison. While Sir George is undoubtedly a controversial figure to many, it is simply not clear why any supposed activity should be attributed to him. If, for example, his spirit was so powerful as to injure and perhaps even kill visitors to the prison, why did it not protect his own tomb in 2002 when it was desecrated by two youths who went on to throw about a skull, perhaps even his own? The youths had to be punished by more earthly authorities and were the first people prosecuted for despoiling a oh, the beer burps. There we go. 17 minutes and 46 seconds. Let's try it again. I do apologise. The youths had to be punished by more earthly authorities and were the first people prosecuted for despoiling a sepulchre in some 100 years. The manifestations have been documented in a book, The Ghost That Haunted Itself, which was written by Jan Andrew Henderson, who started the City of the Dead tour. Many people have reported being touched or injured while visiting the area, most on ghost walks, including being pushed, having their hair pulled, being knocked over, bruised, scratched, cut, and many even fainting. Other strange occurrences are reputed to be the sighing of an apparition. Sorry, the sighting. The sighing of an apparition. Other strange occurrences are reputed to be the sighting of an apparition in white, strong smells, and unexpected knocking and other noises. And activity has apparently extended even to houses around the graveyard. Some reports have as many as 450 people being affected, 140 fainting or passing out, and even an unexplained death of an apparently healthy 24-year-old woman. In 2003, a fire burnt out Mr. Henderson's house, and this has also been suggested as being caused by the angry bogle. If this is all true, perhaps it might be an idea to leave the bogle in peace. City of the Dead Ghost Tours, website, telephone number. Organised tours include the Kirkyard. Church open during summer months, website address. Kirkyard open all year, telephone number, website address. Paranormal investigations have been undertaken by Ghost Finders, website address, and by Paranormal Encounters Group, website address. And in July 2003 and October 2005 by Scottish Paranormal Investigations, website address. That was epic. I was just going to say, what was I going to pick up on? Something from that. That's what I might look up at halftime. Have been documented in a book, The Ghost That Haunted Itself. I think we'll look that up at halftime. So, cheers, me beers. Oh, Slange. Oh, lovely. That stuff is lovely, right? Greyfriars Dumfries. Nothing remains of Greyfriars, a Franciscan friary founded in 1266, probably by Devogilla of Galloway. It was in the church of the friary before the altar that John Comyn was stabbed to death by Robert the Bruce and his men. A plaque on a wall in Castle Street commemorates the event. There is also a story that the ghosts of Robert the Bruce and his accomplices There is also a story that the ghosts of Robert the Bruce and his accomplices in the murder of John Comyn have been seen at the site. Site only, access to plaque at all reasonable times. What are we up to? 22 minutes. We are rapidly heading towards half time. Goodness me. Slange. Oh, lovely. Guthrie Castle. Standing in 150 acres of mature woodland, Guthrie Castle is an imposing castle and mansion extended and remodelled in Victorian times. The original tower was built by the Guthries around 1470, and the building is very picturesque with towers, turrets, battlements, and Corby steps. Sir David Guthrie, first Laird, was armour-bearer to James II and Lord High Treasurer of Scotland. The Guthries got into a long and bloody feud with the Gardines, which led to both families losing their lands, but while the Guthries managed to recover theirs, the Gardines did not. The Guthries held the property until 1984. The castle is said to have a very kind ghost, the spirit of one of the Guthrie ladies or one of their servants, dressed in black and with a large bunch of keys. The benign bogle is believed to be concerned with the welfare of guests. There has not apparently been a sighting of the ghost for many years, but there are said to have been other manifestations. Accommodation available and venue for weddings, telephone number, website. Oh, this looks like a banger, this next one. What are we up to? 23 minutes. Is that all? 24 minutes. There we go. A watched StreamYard clock never moves, but that one has. Cheers. HM Frigate Unicorn, Dundee. HM Frigate Unicorn is one of the oldest British warships still afloat and was launched in 1824 for the Royal Navy at Chatham Dockyard. The frigate had 46 guns and was one of the foremost warships of her day, although she was never involved in battle, being used as a supply ship for most of her active service. The ship has several reports of eerie occurrences, including the spotting of an apparition of a man in naval uniform seen crossing the upper deck during the day. Other manifestations are reputed to be unexplained footsteps coming from the upper deck, although there was nobody apparently present to make them, visitors and staff being touched by invisible hands or even having their hair pulled, and a bookcase being knocked over and the contents tipped out on the deck. During the filming of Most Haunted here, it is also claimed that objects were thrown around. During the filming of Most Haunted here, it is also claimed that objects were thrown at the presenters. A discerning bogle, perhaps. Oh, do I detect an element of sarcasm there? Open April to October daily, November to March, Wednesday to Sunday, telephone number, website. A paranormal investigation was undertaken in April 2007 by Ghost Finders, website address, and in October 2005 by Paranormal Investigation Scotland, website address, and by Spirit Finders Scotland, website address, and in November 2007 by Borders Paranormal Group, website address. Featured in Living TV's Most Haunted Series 8, 2006. This is the scary thing, and I know I've said this before on the show. 2006 still feels like the recent past 20 years ago. That doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem possible. How can 2006 be 20 years? You know, it is in life that you have, you kind of have markers and things that happen in your life, and they become, you kind of look back on things and they stand out because they are, like I say, they're like markers, they're like signposts. 2006, 20 years ago. I don't get that. In case you're wondering where Derpy is, he's in the bedroom on the cabinet in front of the radiator. So, right. Let's soldier on. Haddo House. Haddo House, a massive classical mansion with 2 sweeping wings, was first built in 1731 to 1731-6, and designed by William Adam, although it was later altered. The apparition of Lord Archibald Gordon is said to have been seen in the Premier's bedroom. He was the youngest son of the Marquis of Aberdeen and on Thames, and was killed in a car accident, one of the first to die in such a way. The house stands on the site of an old castle. In 1644, Sir John Gordon of Haddo, who had been in the army of the Marquis of Montrose, was captured after being besieged here for 3 days. He was imprisoned in Haddo's Hole in St. Giles Cathedral before being executed by beheading. The castle was then destroyed. National Trust for Scotland, open April to June, Friday to Monday, closed Tuesday to Thursday, July, August, daily, September to late October, Friday to Monday, closed Tuesday to Thursday. Garden and grounds open daily. Telephone number, website address. Right, how long is this one? That's what she said. Yeah, I think we'll do one more, and then it'll be half time. So, cheers, me beers. Delicious. Deliciouser. Hales Castle. In a lovely location above the River Tyne, Hales Castle is a scenic ruin. The remains consist of a keep extended by ranges and towers in later. The remains consist of a keep extended by ranges and towers in later centuries, with a thick wall protecting the landward side. There are 2 pit prisons, although why Hales needed 2 is not, read that, I go, Hales Castle. Hales. And there are 2 pit prisons, although why Hales needed 2 is not clear. Hales was long a Hepburn property and was besieged and captured several times during its history. Patrick Hepburn became Earl of Bothwell, but was killed at the Battle of Flodden in 1513, which is almost 3:15. And James, 4th Earl, brought Mary, Queen of Scots, here after abducting her in 1567. By 1700, the property had been sold to the Dalrymples of Hales, and they abandoned the old castle for the mansion of New Hales. Also see that entry near Musselburgh. In 1835, Hales was being used as a granary, but it is now in the care of Historic Scotland. Like many other places, Hales is said to have an underground passage, which in this case appears to have led under the river or even to the Trap Prain Law. Oh, the beer burps again, do apologise. or even to the trap Prane Law. Oh, we'll look that up at halftime. One of the pit prisons is said to be haunted by the spirit of a man imprisoned and starved to death because he had fallen in love with the laird's wife. And there are also reports of a white lady seen in the gateway to the castle. Historic Scotland, access at all reasonable times, website address. A paranormal investigation was undertaken in May 2004 by Ghost Finders, website address, and in July 2007 by Scottish Society of Paranormal Investigation and Analysis, website address. Right. We have reached halftime. Oh my goodness me. We've reached halftime. So it is certainly time to crack open the next bottle of beer. We've got the coffee stout from Aldi. The chocolate stout from Aldi, which I absolutely love. So there is the chocolate stout from Aldi. Smooth and indulgent, brewed in the UK in partnership with Hall and Woodhouse. A rich, indulgent stout featuring luxurious chocolate flavours, balanced by notes of roasted malt, 5%. But it's brilliant stuff, and it's only about £1.80. So and we'll have a top up of the honey, the Western Gold honey. Actually, we'll read what the blurb says on the back of this bottle. It's not very well written. The flavour of Western Gold honey derived from oak barrels and the subtle sweetness of honey that results in a smooth and rich flavour profile one cannot resist. Enjoy straight, on the rocks, or mixed. Cheers. Sorry, enjoy, yeah, just enjoy straight, comma. Enjoy straight. That's my decision. Yeah, it just says the flavour of Western Gold honey derived from oak barrels and the subtle sweetness of honey, full stop. That results in a smooth, it should be a comma. And what would you know about grammar, JM? You know, a Bloomsbury author. Anyway, he said grandly. Right. We're going to have some halftime. We're going to have some beer snacks. So we're going to have some of the wasabi mix, which is Gert Lush. Here he is. What do you want? Right. As you can see, his derpy lurpiness has turned up to gate crash the show. In fact, his derpy lurpiness, Facebook reminded me that this was a photograph taken a year ago. There we go, Derps. There you are on the show. Well, you're on the show twice fold tonight. But yeah, that was him out on the chair on the patio. So he was enjoying the sunshine, right? So 2 walks, would you believe? I have been greedy these last couple of days. So I had a brilliant walk yesterday with a very dear friend, and we did Sand Point, which is on Sand Bay. Now, I was expecting we were just going to walk Sand Bay Beach, but they declared no. Well, actually, they didn't declare. They started walking up the steps up to Sand Point. So I thought, right, we're obviously going to walk Sand Point today. And the best way of describing Sand Point is it's like a smaller version of Brean Down. There are so many kind of beats. And right, Derp, are you going to come and sit me lap? Come on. I'm trying to do a show here. honestly, they never have this problem on BBC News. There are so many kind of like landmarks and beats that are similar to Brean Down. So that's the view out towards the moors at Weston-super-Mare. And that's the view out towards Burnbeck Pier, Weston Wood. In the distance, Brean Down. There is Steepholm to the left there. Derpy, come on. Come on. You are You have been asleep for the last hour. Come on. Right, let's just get you out now. Right, yeah, so there's Weston Wood in the distance. There is Brean Down in the middle. There is Steepholm to the right. Out of camera shot is actually Flatholm as well. And there is a view there with some, I think there were daffs that were growing on the side of Sandpoint. That is the point of Sandpoint. That's towards the end of it. You can't go any farther or further. And that's Wales in the distance. Oh, sorry, that one there. And also in the distance is Exmoor as well. And here is more of Sandpoint. It's just brilliant. I walked there with Reg a few years ago before the old, and I love it there. I absolutely love it there. And here is more of Sandpoint, lots of gorse. It's brilliant. And that was the bench that we sat on, Helen's bench, in loving memory of Helen Elizabeth Dury, 1977 to 2022. Goodness me, that's not very long, is it? Mother, wife, daughter, sister, and friend to all. And that's me mugging it for the camera with Weston Wood and Brean Down in the distance, and also Burnbeck Pier. And that was the extent of the walk yesterday. Only 1.56 miles, but there was a lot of up and down. So so you do get the old leg muscles are tried severely, but what a brilliant walk. And to the person who dragged me out to that, God bless you, that's all I can say. Right, and then today's walk, it was a 2-reg walk, and Reg, because he was going to be watching the racing this afternoon, he said to me, we need to keep it local, and we need to do it early. So we literally were 9:30 in the morning out doing a walk, which is unheard of. So we did Clevedon. So there we are outside Reg's place, getting ready to do the walk. Oh my goodness me. I mean, I am embarrassed by the riches on my doorstep. So he said, sounding a bit West Country. So there is Clevedon Pier, which is absolutely brilliant. And that's looking out towards Poets Walk. And again, there is Weston Wood in the background, and Brean Down, and blah 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 blah. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. There's Reg walking along Clevedon seafront, and that's once you get out onto the path, you can look back on Clevedon Pier. What a beautiful pier! I'm with Sir John Betjeman on this when he described it as the prettiest pier in England. I'm also very grateful to my very good friends Pip and Simon, who persuaded me a few years ago to take out a life membership on the pier when Simon was one of the lead trustees of Clevedon Pier. So glad I did, because I'm now a life member and I can go on there whenever I want. Well, not whenever I want, but I can go on there whenever I want when it's open. And it's one of the best investments I've ever made. And Simon is now a trustee of Burnbeck Pier, which is being restored in Weston. So if they offer a similar scheme there, I'll be the first in line. But yeah, just being able to kind of Go there, walk out onto the end of the pier, and where there is the pagoda, where there is a brilliant cafe. Goodness me, why would you not want to be part of that? Anyway, and look at that. Thanks, Reg. I love you too, man. That was one of the things we found on our walk. And that's us on the salt marshes. In the distance, there is Sand Point, which was the destination yesterday. So there's Reg setting a good pace. And there he is setting a good pace again. It's just brilliant down here. It's such a fabulously kind of bleak landscape, but also bursting with life. But then you reach the end of the line, and this I find utterly bizarre because you can't carry on with the coastal path because one of the landowners there has decided that people can't use it. I'm going to have to contact the rights of way people because I know this is a long-standing thing and I'm not going to fix it overnight, but it just seems bizarre that you have an existing path in place and yet one landowner can dictate who accesses it. I don't think that's right because, you know, you could carry on then all the way into Sand Bay. But anyway, it's complicated stuff, but there we are. That was the end of the line today. And then we headed back and then we went into Scarlett's Cafe opposite the pier where I had a lovely cake. In fact, I'm not sure I've got a picture of the cake. There we go. It was a lovely, I think it was raspberry cake. I think Reg had a biscuit, pot of tea for two. We did try another cafe up on Hill Road, a new one that we'd never been to before. And when we asked, can we have a pot of tea? No, we only do mugs. Reg and I looked at each other and we just went, right, we'll go to Scarlett's because I'm sorry, if you only offer mugs of tea, no, we want pots of tea. We're old fashioned. So anyway, so there we go. It was Reg's shout today. So I had that raspberry slice with the icing on it. Absolutely brilliant. And there's Reg. Look at that. Reg's hair is growing back. Mine isn't, but then I haven't had chemotherapy. But no, that's absolutely brilliant that he's getting his taste back and his hair's growing back. So absolutely brilliant. And there we are in front of Clevedon Pier. What a brilliant walk today. The weather held out for us. It was warm, absolutely fabulous. And there we go. Almost 6.5 miles today, which was not bad for a man with holes in his head and a man recovering from having chemotherapy for Hodgkin's lymphoma. So we'll take that as a win, quite frankly. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. And I love the two Reg walks. I really do. And like I say, given that both of us have had our health issues, the reason why we did it early today is that Reg was going to a friend's to watch the racing this afternoon. Reg likes to put some money on the old GGs. So fair enough. I'm not going to argue with that. So it was good to do an early walk today. And that meant I could get back and crack on with work this afternoon, which is what I did. Listen to Radio 3 and the Evensong service and everything. So, right, there we are. So I think that's all I have to report on. I can't reach, because I've got El Stupid on my lap here, I can't reach down and get myself any more snacks, or can I? Thank you, Dirk. These are the wasabi mix snacks from Lidl. Oh my goodness me. They're epic. And I have friend Faye to thank for them. So Right, Derp. Shall we carry on with part 2 of the show? Hall Green Castle. Hall Green dates from the 14th century and is an L-plan tower house which was held by the Dunnet family and then by the Rates. During restoration, it is said that a secret passage and stair was found, leading up from the dungeon to the hall. Several ghosts are said to haunt Hall Green Castle. One is reputed to be that of a woman who reputedly killed herself after the death of her child. Another, a cloaked man who is witnessed in the hall and is known as the Watcher. While 2 others are a pair of servant girls witnessed in the old kitchen in the basement. One gruesome story is that the body of a child was thrown into the well and was never recovered. The unexplained sobbing of a child has been reported. It was known as the Watcher. That was a Disney film from the 80s, The Watcher of the Woods, and a Genesis song from the 70s, Watcher of the Skies, from their Foxtrot album. So, sorry, Derp, I'm going to have another snack. Cheers, my beers. Oh, that chocolate stout tastes absolutely delicious tonight. Harveystoun Castle. Harveystoun Castle was a grand castellated mansion dating from 1804 and then enlarged and altered around 50 years later. By 1965, however, it had been gutted, and 5 years later, it was blown up and demolished. Nothing remains except gate, lodges, and stables. There was an earlier house on the site which Robert Burns had visited in 1787, and it was here he had the inspiration for his poem, The Banks of Devon. I'm trying to figure that one out, actually. I got the beer burps again. A Scottish poet and a Scottish castle, and he had the inspiration for a poem called The Banks of Devon. Crawford Tate inherited the property from his father in 1800 and bought Castle Campbell from the Duke of Argyll. Tate did much to improve his estate, but by 1822 he was in financial difficulties, and although he put the property on the market, he did not manage to sell it. He died 10 years later and was buried in what is now known as Tate's Tomb, which stands by the A91 before Dollar. Ironic. There are stories that the area around the tomb is haunted with apparitions of people and vehicles, some of which it's a typo here. I misread that. There are stories that the area around the tomb is haunted with apparitions of people and vehicles, some which have reputedly caused accidents. I'm sure that should have been some of which. No more information there. What do you reckon, Derp? I think we'll have another wasabi snack. We will have another wasabi snack, and we will say God bless you to friend Faye for introducing me to the wasabi snacks from Lidl. And I think that just sums up our friendship there. So, cheers, me beard. Oh. Uh-oh. For the second time tonight. Yep, there we go. So we are going to have to declare a dead soldier and run VT.
Oh, it's jolly nice of you. Hello, dead soldier. Seen plenty of those in my time.
Great film. Hawkhead Hospital. Hawkhead Hospital, built 1932 to 5 in Art Deco style, has an infectious diseases hospital. Read that again. Hawkhead Hospital, built 1932-5 in Art Deco style as an infectious diseases hospital, was said to be haunted by a grey lady, the spectre of a ward sister murdered by one of her own patients. The hospital has been closed and some of the buildings are to be converted into residences, while houses are to be built in the ground. Thank you, Deb. The hospital stood on the site of a castle, which was once surrounded by wooded parks and gardens, a property of the Ross family from the middle of the 15th century until the 19th century. Now, there's nothing more to say on that, and we're going to have some more snacks. So, oh, lovely. Slange. Hazelhead Academy, Aberdeen. Hazelhead Academy was established more than 100 years ago, but the current comprehensive school dates from the 1960s. The stage area and drama department are said to be haunted. The apparition of a boy dressed as if from the 1960s has been reported on more than one occasion, as have unexplained voices and noises, such as knocking. The apparition of a boy dressed as if from the 1960s has been reported on more than one occasion, as have unexplained voices and noises, such as knocking coming from the walls and the chains of the curtain rattling on their own. Other manifestations are reputedly people feeling as if they have been touched by unseen hands, cold spots, and folk feeling foreboding or very gloomy for no reason. School telephone number, website, that's all it says. Oh my goodness me, this next one's an absolute epic. Hermitage Castle, goodness me, we are going to have a snack. So cheers, my beard. And as ever, another big shout to viewers Kirsten and Steve in the United States for the magnificent United Federation of Planet shot glass. Hermitage Castle. One of the most impressive and oppressive of Scottish fortresses, Hermitage Castle is a large, brooding fortress in a bleak location. The old stronghold has a long and eventful history, and there are many stories of murders and diabolical deeds. So much so that the weight of all the wickedness perpetrated has, perhaps, made the castle sink into the ground. More prosaically, there are a series of ditches and banks by the castle, built to defend the fortress against artillery. There are tales of at least 3 ghosts. In the 13th and early 14th centuries, the castle was a property of the Soulis family, who held lands on both sides of the border. William Soulis, or perhaps his father, Nicholas, is said to have been a warlock, having been a pupil of Michael Scott in the Eden Hills, and he is reputed to have seized children and slaughtered them within the walls, using their blood in evil rites. Soulis became virtually indestructible, having magical armor. Iron weapons were no use against him. According to one account, after consultation with Thomas the Rhymer, the local people eventually took matters into their own hands and seized Soulis, encasing him in lead and binding him with ropes of sand. Soulis was taken to Nine Stane Rig, a stone circle some 1.5 miles northeast of the castle, and boiled in a cauldron until the metal was molten and Soulis was melted away into nothing. A bit extreme, but there you go. William Soulis, however, who had a distant claim to the Scottish crown, is recorded in historical sources as having been imprisoned in Dumbarton Castle for supporting the English. His family were certainly forfeited in 1320 and lost the cattle and lands. Ghostly screams and cries have reportedly been heard from the victims of Soulis, and his own terrifying bogle is said to haunt the castle and area around Hermitage, according to one version. There again. Ghostly screams and cries have reportedly been heard from the victims of Soulis, and his own terrifying bogle is said to haunt the castle and area around Hermitage, according to one version appearing every 7 years and returning to the underground chamber where he slaughtered his victims. In this vault is said to be buried a fantastic treasure. The castle later passed to the Douglases and William Douglas, the Knight of Liddesdale, a devious fellow who was one of those. The castle later passed to the Douglases and William Douglas, the Knight of Liddesdale, a devious fellow, was one of those who resisted Edward Balliol in the 1330s after the English had placed Balliol on the throne. Douglas did, however, seize Sir Alexander Ramsay of Dalhousie at his devotions in St. Mary's Church in Howick. Ramsay had taken Roxburgh Castle for the Scots, had found favour, and was made Sheriff of Teviotdale, an office that Douglas coveted. Ramsay was imprisoned in a dungeon at Hermitage and starved to death, although a trickle of corn from a granary agonizingly prolonged his life. Ramsay's spirit is said to have been seen and heard at Hermitage. In 1353, which is 8 minutes to 4, Douglas's plotting caught up with him, and he was ambushed and slain by his godson, another William. when he attempted to block the latter's promotion to the lordship of Douglas. The castle did not stay with the Douglases, and in 1492 it was exchanged with Patrick Hepburn, Earl of Bothwell, for Bothwell Castle in Clydesdale. In 1566, James Hepburn, 4th Earl of Bothwell, was stabbed and badly wounded in a skirmish with the border laird Little Jock Elliot of Park. Elliot was shot by Hepburn and killed. As Bothwell recovered, he was paid a visit by Mary, Queen of Scots, who had been at Jedburgh. Are we keeping up with this? Because I'm not. Mary made only a brief stay, and she returned to Jedburgh that same day, but having fallen from her horse on the return journey, made herself so ill that she nearly died. After much intrigue, Mary and Bothwell were married, although he was implicated in the murder of Darnley, her previous husband. Their marriage was a disaster. Mary was defeated in battle and fled to imprisonment and eventual execution in England, while Bothwell escaped to Norway. His end was not a happy one. He was incarcerated in the Danish fortress of Dragsholm and there died. His mummified corpse survives at the castle, or did so for a long time, and his ghost is said to have been witnessed at Dragsholm, which is now a hotel. It is, however, an apparition of Mary in a white dress that is said to haunt Hermitage. It is, however, an apparition of Mary in a white dress that is said to haunt Hermitage. It is not clear why Mary would grace Hermitage with her ghostly presence, as it played such a small part in her life, but hers is a busy bogle. Historic Scotland open April to October, daily, telephone number, website. Goodness me. What are we up to? We've an hour and 4 minutes. I think we need some food, quite frankly, folks. I haven't got that much beer to get through. It might be a 3 bumper tonight. I think it will be, actually. Yeah, going to be a 3 bumper. Which means I'm going to sleep like a log tonight. Hillhead Underground Station, Glasgow. The underground station is reputed to be haunted, there being several stories regarding the apparition of a pretty woman dressed in evening wear being seen on the platform and also being heard singing, apparently quite happily. The phantom is then said to disappear into one of the tunnels. It just says underground station. That's it. That's all the steer we're getting from that. What did you do on Wednesday night? I watched a confused man from Dudley with holes in his head drink ghost stories, read alcohol, and eat wasabi snacks from Lidl. Yeah. But I'm just going to message a friend, Faye, because she's the one who got me into those wasabi snacks. Bear with me, folks. Bear with. In fact, we're going to have a couple more of the wasabi snacks, actually. So, Hilton Hotel, Glasgow. The Hilton Hotel is reputed to be... So I'm spitting wasabi snacks out over my beer here. Hilton Hotel, Glasgow. The Hilton Hotel is reputed to be haunted, and one story is that the apparition of a woman with long blonde hair has been witnessed in a chamber on the 13th floor. The bar is also said to be the scene of an eerie occurrence, such as glasses being thrown across the room or moving by themselves. The phantom of a man has been reportedly seen. The phantom of a man has been reportedly. Yeah, again. That's me. The bar is also said to be the scene of eerie occurrences, such as glasses being thrown across the room or moving by themselves. The phantom of a man has reportedly been spotted here too. Hotel, telephone number, website address. It's going to be a 3 bumper tonight, folks. So I'm hoping this will guarantee me a decent night's sleep. I mean, I do tend to conk out about 11:30. I go downstairs and have some supper and then watch some Family Guy or American Dad or whatever. But once I get to bed, I'll listen to a podcast. Oh, the beer burps again. But I'm constantly fighting the tinnitus that I've got in my head, which is caused by the shunt, which is also in my head. So I try and block it out and try not to. Oh, the beer hiccups. I try not to let it dominate my my consciousness, but it's always there. It's tricky. But anyway, right, let's crack on, shall we? We'll do the last couple for tonight, and that's it. His Majesty's Theatre, Aberdeen. His Majesty's Theatre, a fine building dating from 1906, holding an audience of up to 1,470, was fully renovated in the 1980s and then again in 2005, and features a range of popular productions, including musicals, drama, and dance. The theatre is said to be haunted by the spirit of a stagehand, John Murray, known as Jake, who was killed messily in 1942 by stage hoist during a circus performance. Manifestations are believed to include objects being mysteriously moved or hidden by themselves, including on one occasion when a member of staff was painting some scenery and had his paintbrush repeatedly moved until the member of staff told the ghost to stop. All right, again. Manifestations are believed to include objects being mysteriously moved or hidden by themselves, including on one occasion when a member of staff was painting some scenery and had his paintbrush repeatedly moved until the member of staff told the ghost to stop. Footsteps have also allegedly been heard from unoccupied areas, witnessed in 2005 during the last renovation. An apparition of Jake has also reputedly been seen, said to be that of a man dressed in a brown coat, which then faded away. The foyer is said to be haunted by a grey lady, while a phantom of a barmaid has reportedly been witnessed in the stall's bar. Another spectre is allegedly that of a man with a top hat, spotted in the Royal Box enclosure, and even on the stage during performances. Theatre, telephone number, website. Right, I'm just going to have a look to see. But more for tonight, folks, and then we're going downstairs and we're going to have some supper. So cheers, me beard. Oh, lovely. Slange. Oh, 3 bumper. Hobkirk. An attractive building in a pleasant spot. The present church dates from 1869, although it incorporates some ancient masonry. The present Hobkirk stands on the site of a much older church, which is mentioned from the 13th century, but may date from even earlier. There are some old memorials in the burial ground, and the name comes from Hope Kirk, Hope being a sheltered valley. In the 18th century, it is said that the then church was haunted and that it had to be exorcised by a priest. Just says church website address. That's it. No, we're going to cut our losses and run tonight, folks. So cheers, me beard. Oh, delicious. Slange. Oh, deliciouser. But you know what? We are going to have one of our Ramadan chocolates. But I'm trying to see where we've got up to at the moment. 7th, 6th, 7th. Have we opened 8? Yeah, let's try 9, shall we? I mean, God bless you, Aldi, for doing this. Oh, there is a chocolate in there. There we go. And we'll have one more. Another one. Oh, and we had another one falling out of the, it threw itself out there. That's it for tonight, folks. Oh my goodness me, what are we up to? 1 hour and 16 minutes. What did you do on Wednesday night? Watch The Confused Man from Dudley, drink ghost stories, read alcohol, just eat snacks all the time. fingers crossed, we'll be back on Friday for Sunday Night Ghost Stories Extra on a Friday. You know me, I'll try and squeeze some more adventures in the meantime. I don't know what we're going to do, but we'll think of something. Until then, as ever, it behoves me to say thank you for watching. Why? Why not? What else are you going to do on a Wednesday night as we enter double figures in March? Then watch a confused man from Dudley with holes in his head. Drink alcohol, drink ghost stories and read alcohol. So until the next time, as ever, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay out of trouble, and please don't have nightmares. Good night. Oh, sorry. Let's try it again. We pressed the wrong button. So as ever, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay out of trouble, and please don't have nightmares. Good night.